The following program is being presented to you by a community producer. The statements, views, and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of ALC-TV or the City of Avon Lake.
Hi, I'm Suzie Dills, and welcome to Starry Trails Adventure Through the Stars, our November edition. Every month we'll talk about cosmic highlights and take an adventure through the stars. So don't forget to visit starrytrails.com for illustration maps. You could pull up my audio on your smartphone, all the tools you need to head outside in your backyard on a nice starry night. So for the month of November, our highlights, our lovely planet Saturn continues to set earlier each night. So we're still going to get a few more nights to view our lovely planet. But Mars continues to dazzle in the southwestern sky after sundown. We also have the peak of the Leonid meteor shower on November 17th. However, we're going to have a first quarter moon that evening, so the moonlight's going to fade some of those fainter meteors. We're going to continue to see our fall constellations coming up in the east. And also, you know, we just switched back our clocks on November 4th. We said goodbye to daylight savings time. We're in Eastern Standard Time now until next March. So we had another great star party on Sunday, October 14th. We were able to view the first quarter moon. We got to see Jupiter before it faded away from our evening sky. We also got views of Saturn and Mars. We looked at a couple of the really cool stars in our fall sky. We did a little star hopping. And we got to see something very unusual. We looked at a very bright star called Capella, which is in the northeastern sky right now. And it was very low on the horizon. So just by the way that it was interacting with that lower part of the atmosphere, we were actually seeing all the colors of the spectrum when we looked at bright Capella that night. So that was really one of the highlights of that evening star party. And our next star party will be Saturday, November 17th. Like I said, that's the peak of the Leonid meteor shower. So I hope we'll get to see a couple shooting stars. Nothing like the Perseids, but we should be able to see a few. We'll see the first quarter moon, maybe another view of Saturn before it departs our evening sky, Mars, and we'll check out some of the other deep sky objects and bright stars of our fall skies. So we're going to head out on our hike. We're going to head out about 7 o'clock. Remember, our sun sets really early now, so you can head out anytime after 6:30 in the evening, but we're going to target around 7 o'clock. Really, that's when we're going to see the best of our fall constellations. And so we're going to have to grab that heavy jacket, gloves, hat, and maybe on those colder, snowier evenings, we might have to wear our boots and also our binoculars. And don't forget to grab that star map. And remember, first of all, to orientate your direction points from your backyard. But you are going to put the direction on the bottom of the wheel to whatever direction you are facing when you head out to do your star hopping. So we're going to start off in the western sky. So the sun has gone down. It's easy to spot western sky, of course, because you're going to see the lovely colors of the sunset. So you can definitely orientate your directions at that point. So as it gets darker, we're going to look up. We're going to see a very bright star called Vega. And then to the left of that, you'll see another bright star called Altair. And then up from those two stars, you'll see a bright one called Deneb. And we've been connecting those three stars all summer long to form the summer triangle. So you notice it's really far in our western sky now. And we are going to focus in on the star Deneb, because we want to check out a pattern that's easier to find in our stars. I like to point this one out because you can almost imagine beautiful Cygnus the Swan. So take that star Deneb, you're going to go below that, you're going to look for the 3 stars that form a line, and imagine that to be the outstretched wings of Cygnus. And then further on down, in between Vega and Altair, you'll see another star. It's called Albireo, and that would be the head of Cygnus. And that star Albireo is really a double star, and we like to look at that often in our star parties because it's stars that are 2 different colors, so you can see the temperature of those stars but just by looking at the colors. One of the stars is a golden colored, and one of those stars is blue. So it's very interesting to look at that double star pattern there in the night sky. And then off to the left of the summer triangle, we have that beautiful kite shape in the stars, Delphinus the dolphin. So let's check out the pictures. If we put those, imagine those patterns, the pictures that are part of the western sky. You can see Cygnus the Swan. Like I said, that star Deneb is the tail. Then you see the 3 stars that make up the wings, and then the head, the star Albireo. Check out Aquila. You can see Hercules, the bravest and strongest hero. He's getting very low. He's leaving our night sky also until next spring. And you can see cute little Delphinus the dolphin there off to the left. Now we're just going to trek to the right. We're going to look direction north. We're looking for our familiar pattern. The Big Dipper very low on the horizon in the autumn, and that certainly was a signal for harvesting and preparing for winter for people long ago. They relied on their star patterns to tell time periods. And then if we take our 2 stars at the end of the cup of the Big Dipper, we're going to draw that imaginary line up to the next bright star, which is Polaris, or the North Star, and that is the tip of the handle of the Little Dipper. Remember, Polaris is our very important star for navigation. People long ago used it for direction and also latitude. And then heading off and up to the right, you'll see the sideways W, and that's Queen Cassiopeia. So here's our pictures that go along with our patterns. And remember, the Big Dipper, Little Dipper are called asterisms, so they're patterns in our stars, and they are parts of larger groups of stars. So the Big Dipper's part of the Big Bear, Little Dipper is the Little Bear, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. Remember, we're talking about Greek mythology pictures and stories when we look up at our stars. And then you can see Queen Cassiopeia sitting on her throne. And then to the right of her, you see Perseus, the hero. And then one more trek to the right. We're going to look up high overhead. We're going to look for those 4 stars. We're going to connect those, and those form the Great Square of Pegasus. Hard to imagine that beautiful winged horse, but if you connect those stars, once again, we call that the Great Square of Pegasus. And sometimes the way I find that group of stars, I kind of look for those, try to find that square pattern. And there's really no stars that are easy to see inside of the square, so that kind of helps me locate that group of stars. And then right below that, that little cluster of stars, what a beauty. The Pleiades, or the 7 sisters. And there's our picture of Pegasus. You can see the beautiful winged horse, so notice the square pattern. And once again, hard to imagine how they came up with that beautiful winged horse. And here is our other pictures for our eastern constellations. You notice the little cluster star, the Pleiades, riding on the shoulder of Taurus the bull. So each night, Taurus is going to start to climb higher in the sky, and the way to find that pattern Look for the Pleiades, our little cluster, and right below there you'll see a sideways V shape, and that is the face of Taurus. All right, so now it's binocular time. Speaking of the Pleiades, one of my favorites, great open star cluster to look at. So it's easy to find with your eyes. So you're going to focus in on the Pleiades, and boy, it is a lovely sight in a pair of binoculars. It's one of the closest star clusters to planet Earth, so it is really a lovely sight. Actually, it's better to look at in binoculars than viewing it through a telescope. So give it a try. It's easy to find, and here's a beautiful image of those stars. Medium-age stars, and they're very hot stars. You can see that blue color. That indicates the temperature, once again, of the star. And then our Milky Way corridor, we see it draping from the southwest all the way to the northeast. Beautiful sight. Certainly if you can get out to a dark sky area, it is just fabulous. But if you're in your backyard, you've got a lot of lights. I'll show you the patterns where you can locate that corridor and then just scan with your binoculars. So here's our patterns. Starting off in the southwest, you can see Sagittarius, and then running right through our summer triangle, you could see Cygnus the Swan lies right on that corridor. So that's an easier pattern to find. We talked about earlier how to locate that constellation. And then running up through Queen Cassiopeia, our sideways W, and then all the way to Perseus, the hero, up there in the northeastern sky. And two other great deep sky objects. We're going to locate those. We're going to head back to our constellation Cassiopeia. Once again, she'll be easy to find. She's the sideways W. But grab your binoculars. You got to be steady, and you got to be patient. You're going to scan slowly off of the top point of the W. And you'll scan slowly over. You're going to see a circular fuzzy shape. That is the Andromeda Galaxy. That is our most distant object we can see with our human eyes. Actually, it's our next door neighbor galaxy, but it's 2.5 million light years away. So the light left that object 2.5 million years ago, and we're just seeing it now. So it's certainly a delight to see in a pair of binoculars. Here's a beautiful image of Andromeda. You're certainly not going to see this detail in binoculars or a telescope, but just a lovely image here of that galaxy. And then the bottom point of the W, we're going to scan slowly off to the right again. We're going to look for kind of a fuzzy area, and that's the double cluster in the constellation Perseus. Here's an image of that, and that is really a lovely sight in a telescope. So that's certainly one of our highlighted objects that we'll check out if we can at the next star party if it's nice and clear. So next month, we may be talking about a comet that's closely approaching Earth that we may be able to see just with our eyes. So that could be quite exciting. We haven't had a nice visible comet like that for quite a while. We're going to highlight more our winter constellations and, of course, our most magnificent picture in the stars, mighty Orion the Hunter. So I want to thank you so much for coming out. We will see you next month.
The preceding program was presented to you by a community producer. The statements, views, and opinions expressed were not necessarily those of ALC TV or the City of Avon Lake.